Hey, welcome back, all four of you. It's our initial impressions of episode 3 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Hey,
I think that the way the show starts off, which is a good place to start, is another commercial. And I think the weird kind of cool thing they've done in they give like paying homage to like the TV shows. Like you get the thing in Wanda where there's the commercials that
Talk about her
life and kind of show you what's going on with her. And this one's kind of weird as it like sets the stage of like they're trying to reassert power. And you see that, and then you immediately bump out, and there's, the new Cap being the complete dickhead, setting the stage for him, getting spit in the face. You don't know who I am, and all that crap. It's.
do you think? Well, I don't think it was necessarily a dig, but I almost wanted to call it the New World Order. But what's the United Nations? No, the United Nations. It's kind of like the what is it? The GRC in this. It's kind of like a new
Repatriate.
Yeah. So
Council, yeah.
where it's almost kind of United Nations, where we're all great and everything, but they're really not, at all.
I suppose it's like a smash toward that, but
That's what it felt like to me. I don't know if it was meant to be a smash,
well, it's like
but that it came across
like
as a smash to me.
and then they give you the reality on the
Right.
other side. We're like, hey, we're wonderful, and we're gonna
Help you, and all this shit, and then like you said, fake Cap
comes in.
Walker.
Yeah, he had a sort of a worthless episode. Like I don't even know why they put the parts of why he was in there in that episode. Like he could have not been there, and
Nothing would have happened.
Oh, he's not important. He's just filler pieces for the 2.5, 3 minutes.
Yeah, he never came back into the episode after that. He just got spit in the face and
He
walked
came
off.
back in the jail because he was looking for Zemo.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, they're setting the stage for a conflict later, so they're keeping him relevant because that's what the entire series is going to be about. Is Bucky and Sam asserting themselves as like the replacement for Cap, A-level character, something like, oh, that's important or whatever, but it's not. He's a joke of a character, the temporary Cap.
Do you think Battlestar, he said, I know you want this back. Do you think that new Cap is after the super soldier serum? Because, obviously he wants to juice up again, if he hasn't juiced up already.
He wants more juice.
He wants more juice.
That's what happens when you juice once. You want more of it. Trust me.
Yeah.
But if he, what if he's the one that has been after Carly the whole time?
Oh, you're saying like he's
because he throws the dude up against the. No, I don't think he's the power broker.
Not
You think he's working for the power broker?
I think Sharon might be the power broker. But he throws the dude up against the wall, and the he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And I think that was kind of like an obvious question. He's fucking Captain America. He's been all over the news, but I think it was more than the obvious question.
Gotcha.
I think it was like, "Do you know who I am?" He's like, "Yeah, it's in his face."
Yeah, it's a good point.
I see that, but is it not just a flex from like his weak personality? Like, because the real Cap never does something like that. Is it just that flex, or do you think it's because there's something like nefarious or deeper there?
I think your suggestion is there's something more nefarious, that he's an underground agent, not really a good guy, and his saying, "Do you know who I am?" is him almost revealing like, "Hey, I'm the bad guy. You know me as the bad guy. What are you doing?" Or to your point, is just to contrast him with Cap.
Yeah, I think
being a dick.
I think it's the contrast. I think the whole he's not important enough to be a bad guy, and I don't think he sticks around. I think the other guy, what's his name again? The Battlestar. I think Battlestar could end up being like a B-level character after this, and because at least in that episode, like he seemed to not follow the sidekick role as adamantly. Like he was like sort of stepping up, like, "Hey, no, you want this," but. And he could be more. But he could not be too. It could be something where they shape it differently. But I fully expect at the end of this, the temporary Cap is gone, or the road set for him to, get taken down at some point in a movie or something.
I like your thoughts last week when you talked about that Walker might be recruited by Baron Zemo. As part of the Thunderbolts, or a variation of the Thunderbolts. Right now, I don't know what to think of Baron Zemo.
Yeah, he seems like the way that he's out front and visible in the underworld seems to be like way different than how he was portrayed in any other version. Like he seemed to be like almost like a.
Well, I mean, only because we haven't seen the underworld side of Marvel. Like this is the first time we've seen the underside world of Marvel, so yeah, we haven't seen the inner workings. But I mean, it still is weird that he's like publicly visible. But I mean, it would make sense that he has all these connections, and that a lot of people do know him because he's part of the underworld, and if he's a major player.
Well, and it is also kind of establishing. I guess it's a little bit not necessarily a retcon, but an explanation of what he was prior to Civil War, because in Civil War they don't really tell you much other than he's really pissed off because some people died. But he was able to do a lot of things in Civil War, but he was just seemed like a normal person, which was what made him intriguing. It was just someone with his drive can rise above his small station. And I guess this is in a way kind of saying, no, it wasn't a small station. He was a guy that was very smart, very convicted. He's got some resources.
It's weird because like the feeling I got was that movie with Gerard Butler where he goes to jail and breaks out.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, that was like, to me that was Baron Zemo. He was like the guy that was so smart. He put himself in jail and they couldn't figure out what he was doing wrong, but he was had tunneled out and killed everybody. He was like he didn't have those connections. He was just smarter than everybody and figured out
Convicted.
And followed Hydra's like playbook. Figured out who Hydra was, followed their playbook, and reconstructed or reverse engineered the way to get to the Winter Soldier is what I thought. Like, and this seems like this is way different. This seems like he was part of an underworld and was a bad guy, and like they retcon that idea. Like he was more than just somebody that's seeking revenge. Like he, like now you see like he was this
just
guy.
Like a one-man army, but now he's got like spider webs everywhere.
Right, and he kind of lost his luster to me because he was much more chilling and sinister in Civil War because of his conviction. Like this is a guy he's so dedicated that's why he was able to rip the Avengers apart, because he, like you said, he was brilliant and he's smart and he just was convicted. And now it kind of seems like Marvel did, which is my complaint with a lot of stuff lately with Marvel, is they've just kind of gotten lazy with it. It just seemed in this episode that they just sprinkled a little bit of Tony Stark on top of it.
Well,
where he's a playboy, he's rich, he's flying in a plane, it almost looks exactly like Tony's plane from Iron Man 1. He's got a butler that's bringing him his favorite champagne, and and he's got the cool jacket and everything.
But I think they did that a little bit if they're moving forward with the Thunderbolts and they want Baron to lead it. Like,
I mean, that makes sense, and I don't really have a lot of problem with him having money because, technically he's Baron, he's got money. Like, that's a throwaway line to explain it, so it's not hard to explain that. It's just,
change him from being, like, sinister to more of a gray character, I guess, so that they can, if they do the whole Thunderbolts thing.
And to be, like, a connective broker. Like, he's a connective broker, and then he's, like, also, like, puts a mask on, and he's, like, almost, like, superhero-ish. Sort of, really gray character. Like, what's that all about? Like, does that show up in the comic books or something? That version of that mask?
Yeah.
Is that Baron Zemo?
That's Baron. Yeah, that's his mask.
Okay, so that's like a original version.
Yeah, it's purple balaclava.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is he in the comics? Does it match up, or is it like fanboyed back to who he is originally in the comics? Or
he's a Baron in the comics as well. I mean, that's his comic. It's not really a code name, that's just his name, Baron Zemo.
Okay.
And so they kind of, they did kind of bring that back in. Because in Winter Soldier, you just kind of make it out like he's a soldier,
Yeah.
And he was away when.
But is he, like, villanesque in the comics, or like that he has some sort of power, or is he, like...
No, he didn't really have any powers, I think he's just...
smart and influential.
Yeah.
So sort of like the, on the Black Widow level, and like, because it's so weird because those people, even like Sharon Carter in this episode, like she's badass. But
I like that. That was good.
Very
John Wicky. I like it.
It was almost cool, but like, why the lack of blood? Like, just not, you don't gotta spray it everywhere, but just like a drip somewhere.
Dude caught a Bowie knife in his
and didn't
forearm.
bleed a drop.
That's true, but
and the other guy got a pipe thrown through him, and he's like, "Oh."
Yeah, that was very like the end of Commando when Arnold threw that steam pipe through Bennett. He was like, let off some steam, Bennett. It was very reminiscent of that. But it was just kind of the weird cut back to Bucky, and Bucky's just like looking at him for a second and then just walks away. It was kind of odd.
That the bust out fight scene is so weird because, Sam trained military. Back to what you were saying last week about like the persona of who Bucky is. Like, he is the Winter Soldier, and they come out and they don't know how to tactically move. Like, why make that a comedic scene?
No.
Why not just tactically move out of there? Or if they're pinned down and have nowhere to go, like, explain that through the banter, and then Baron Zemo will pop up and, save the day or whatever like he did. But why one right, one left, and then you are tactically split? Like, these are military guys, And
I agree. There's way to add comedy to it without adding incompetence.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people need to take influence from the Lethal Weapon movies, because they were able to have the competent characters, but there was a lot of witty banter between them, but they were still accomplished their things. And also, to your point, just contrasting in that minutes prior, Winter Soldier is whooping ass in the underbelly, or did that come after?
No, that was
before.
That was before. I mean, he just went straight. I mean, he played the theme for him. I mean, he's just wrecking shit. And then now they're under fire. Their lives are in danger, and they're out of ammo, and they're just sitting there.
Well,
you run out.
To play the devil's advocate on that point, like, all he did was kick a couple dudes' ass. Like, he didn't do anything tactically there. Like, he didn't.
True, yeah, but it showed how competent he was, and then you bring them into incompetence. It was very contrasting.
I agree, and that's what I'm like. That's the first thing that jumped out. Is why this portion of the scene? Like, why not just leave them competent and let them get trapped? Because that's an actual thing. Like, if you're surrounded on all sides and all you can do is bunker down until somebody saves you, then that's feasible. Like, why not just leave it there?
Yeah, then there's ways to add comedy without incompetence. So, I'm just going to borrow a scene from Black Hawk Down. We all remember Black Hawk Down. Remember when Twomley and the other guys are running through Mogadishu by themselves because they got left behind? And there's that little scene with Tom Hardy and the other guy and the guy from The Sandlot. They all meet up, and the one guy, he's completely deaf because Tom Hardy shot his machine gun right next to his ears, and he's just making all these goofy faces, and like the Sandlot kid's like, hey, go, go, go. And Tom Hardy's like, oh man, sorry, he can't hear no more, There's ways to add a little comedy like that doesn't, and then they all take off running, and they're like, okay, let's just go, You can kind of tell these guys are out of their element, but they're doing things properly, and there was a little bit of comedy to it, but without making them just,
I don't know, lazy writing.
And that's what I was getting to. It's a little bit lazy writing. It's a bit of how do we apply the formula? Let's get a little bit of lazy writing, like how they found that Russian lady, like they show up at Agent Carter's niece. What's her first name? I forgot. Sharon. So they go to hang out at Sharon's place, and Sharon's like, okay, yeah, I'll find out where this scientist that cracked the Enigma code on the super serum, where he's hiding. Just give me 15 minutes at this dinner party. And she just walks out there, and then 15 minutes later, all right, I know where he is. He's in this container box. Like,
I think it's because she's the power broker. She knew where he was because she put him up.
Well, that would make sense. But who sent the dudes?
Yeah,
who sent the goons?
She did.
She sent the goons and then dismantled her own goons.
Yeah.
So Sharon Carter's back.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that would be.
That seems a bit of a stretch because she straight murdered those.
It could be just people looking for the bounty. They knew where they were at.
Yeah, I think. That's an easier way to explain that. And she could be the power broker, but I don't. It seems weird that she would send Zemo in with, because she would probably think that Zemo would kill that guy, and he's way more valuable alive. So why would you send Zemo in there with the guy? Because Zemo, his motives are pretty clear. From Civil War, like he wants to end that program. He wants to, finish that, kill the Avengers. That's his whole motive. And so, I think that send him in there with somebody that would end that program or destroy that, work and the value behind that. Like, I don't know why you would do that. She seems very shaded dark on the grayscale right now. So I agree with it. There's some definitely underbelly stuff with her, but I don't know that she's completely tied into it. She may be working with or for.
Well, Was it episode 1 with the flag smashers? You know, she got that little text on her phone saying, "I'm going to kill you." You know, and at first, I assumed that was Baron Zemo, because we didn't know what was going on with Zemo yet, right? And obviously now, looking back, that's the Power Broker, because they stole the serum from the Power Broker. Well, if Sharon is the Power Broker, she knew where the serum was and was getting it made. I don't see it getting stolen from her or him, and they haven't even explained how, you know, these humanitarian aid people found the serum and stole it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a little bit of a backward story arc there.
There might be, but it just seems like there's a lot of unbelievable holes so far in the structure, even if they do explain them.
Well, I mean, they tied them into that city or whatever with, you know,
the underbelly city.
Yeah.
Well, we do know that the Power Brokers people showed up at the airstrip, right, and killed the one guy. So they're after him, and obviously they'll kill him.
Well, do we know? I mean, they look like military, so do you know it's the Power Broker?
Well, that's what they said they were. This is the Power Brokers people are here. We don't know that they were really the Power Brokers people, but that's what the guy at the airstrip claimed it was.
The guy on the phone may have been, but, you know, I guess if you were that powerful or have that much money, you could probably, you know, sequester, you know, a small country's military pretty cheaply, depending on. I mean, you probably could easily say, like, hey, this is a huge threat. Like, we need to go after these people. We know where they're at. And I'm going with you because I know where they're at.
Unless they're really bad at writing a story, which is possible because there's already been some pretty terrible writing holes for me. At this point, halfway through the series, we've met the Power Broker. We just haven't been told it's the Power Broker yet. Unless they're just going to come out at the end and be like, "I'm the Power Broker, I'm the bad guy," and then they kill him or beat him or arrest him or whatever. Oh, could Walker be the Power Broker? He's obviously got connections. You know, maybe that's what he meant by, "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah.
You know, because the guy he was saying that to was someone who was adamantly trying to protect the Flag Smashers, who the Power Broker is definitely trying to go get and kill. You know, maybe Walker's the Power Broker. That would explain a lot. You know, he's connected to an arc underbelly. It's very similar to your commercial, right? You know, the global repatriation, you know, we're going to help you, we're going to give you free food and all this stuff, and then you cut to Walker being a dick. You know, maybe that's not just so much GRC
foreshadowing.
Yeah, that they're actually talking about the character Walker because he's donned the Captain America outfit. That's the fluffy part of the commercial, but the reality underneath that is the Power Broker.
I mean, I didn't get the Breaking Bad, like, what's my name kind of moment out of that. I was like, it was kind of cringy, so, like, you know.
It was, but it would be bad writing if it did become him be the Power Broker.
Horrible, the worst writing ever, because you look back at that moment where somebody has the audacity to spit in his face and you think, that never happens to Walter White, and this is supposed to be the new Cap and the Power Broker? Like, that never happens to somebody that should be on that power level or that, like, authority level.
But I just wouldn't be surprised at this point because there's been some writing inconsistencies. I'm going to have to circle back and say that really bothered me when Sharon was just like, "Hey, I'm going to go find out this guy that secret government agents can't find. Just give me 15 minutes at a cocktail party and I'll know exactly where he is."
I mean, they don't know to try to find him is sort of the problem. Like, it might be easier to find somebody once you know they exist. And I mean, how many people left over from the CIA since the blip back, you know, or the snapback or whatever, is tied into knowing that he had that capability, you know, because they don't want to fund him anymore, so the people even paying attention to it, and, you know, those people, you know, snap back and they were in where a plane should have been and fell to the ground. So apparently that happens. I don't know. There's a lot of holes, and they could probably try to explain it away, but I don't have an answer. I think that the exciting thing going forward is, like, we saw a bunch of cool things. We saw, you know, Bucky act like the Winter Soldier finally for a little snap, even though he went retarded 30 seconds later. And, you know, we kind of saw that. And we saw Sam not be overpowered, it was cool for me. Like, I don't need Sam to be overpowered. I need Sam to be adequately powered for a non-super soldier.
I agree, or else it's Captain Marvel effect. He's getting very Captain Marvel-y, or it had been in the movies, you know. And I agree with you. He's a more interesting character when he's actually has some vulnerability, are, not as strong. Because when he's just like straight up kicking helicopters with his feet and like knocking them out of the sky,
No,
it's like the Superman effect. Why should I care? This dude can kick helicopters. Why should I be scared of somebody shooting a handgun at him? So I agree with you there. He's much more interesting when he's depowered a little bit.
They finally had guns. Are you excited?
Oh yeah, I was super excited.
Man,
about
those
that.
were some nice looking handguns. I could not figure out what handgun the Winter Soldier had, but damn, I wanted to. That was a good looking pistol.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell what it was.
The shooting from Sharon Carter was like spot on. Like she was always in the right spot, built from building to building. Like that was a little cheesy, unless they.
I didn't think it was Sharon Carter in the building. I thought it was like one of her people because it was. I mean, that looked like a shotgun or something, and then she comes out with a pistol, out of the corner.
Yeah, it looked like it was probably multiple people.
Are you talking about when the Russian lady got shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, who shot her? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, we were talking about when Sharon rescued them in the alleyway.
Okay.
No, I think it was definitely strange. She was across buildings and she moved quickly. I mean, the angles of the way they shot it made it look like she was in separate buildings. She might have just been in one because they might have been coming from like this way, or coming down the alleyway, and then they turned, and then it makes them look like they're coming from different sides or whatever, different shots. But like I expected her to come out of the building on the right, and she came out of the building on the left, and just from the way they disoriented you, it seemed weird. It seemed like, how does she make all these shots? And then we find out that she's got assistants, and she's like an important person, so she could definitely be somebody that is in the employ of the power broker or on that power level. I mean, there are some mysterious things going on with her for sure. I don't understand why if she was the power broker though, I don't understand why she wouldn't have taken a dose unless they stole.
I would have taken the hell out of a dose. But then you got to think to the point like, all right, the flag smashers, they're obviously not governmentally connected people. They're connected with certain, smaller groups and helping people and stuff like that. So for them to even discover the existence of a serum would have been definitely well after, one, the scientist that created it, and two, the person that asked them to create it. So to your point, if I have a pocket scientist that's cracked the Enigma code on the super serum, I'm patient zero. I'm taking that stuff immediately.
Well, you're not patient zero.
I'm not
even. You have somebody test it to figure out if it works.
No, probably not. I mean, if this scientist has cracked it and it's worked, and you've seen its work many times over the past decades, I'm not even going to let that test tube fill up all the way before I'm injecting. So I agree to your point. Who didn't take it that could have taken it before it was stolen?
Okay. Well, Sharon can't be power broker because Baron knows of power broker, right? Even though he's never met him, he knows of power broker by reputation. So, but he's been locked up since Civil War, which was before the blip. And Sharon,
she was following Cap, living down the hall from Cap, protecting him.
Yeah, she was still part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and still, assigned to Cap there. So she wasn't on the run yet to have went to Madripoor and established herself as the power broker.
Which that leaves Walker, or a character that hadn't been introduced yet, which seems
Clint
Ronan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when does this take place? Right, this is a prequel to.
This is after WandaVision.
Right, but before
Far From Home.
Mysterio Spider-Man.
Yeah, could be wrong for sure. He could have taken over in that stretch.
Because he's still
his family's back though.
But he wasn't in Civil War though. Like what was he doing during Civil War? He wasn't even in Civil War.
Who?
He was.
Clint?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he fought Black Panther.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, they call me Clint." And,
Yeah.
And Black Panther was like, "What did he say? I do not get."
So it can't be him either. It's got to be somebody that was already set up pre-Civil War because Baron,
knew of him
knows
before that.
Well, that's making a pretty good assumption. I mean, he could have learned.
So it's not Walker then.
During the blip, like it's not like he's completely cut
well,
off
he's not
everything.
I mean, he's been in like a max prison for 10 years.
Okay, well, how about this? Since we brought up
because the blip was 5, and then he's been in there since Civil War, which is
like 7
like a year
or 2.
Yeah.
What if it's Mysterio from Spider-Man?
Yeah,
He's definitely not.
Yeah, he wouldn't have flexed that way visibly, like if he had all that actual power, like he wanted fake power, and so he flexes in Spider-Man. So.
Well, maybe he was trying to get real power and it got stolen from him, and so then he had to come up with fake power and steal Stark's sunglasses, which was still a weird part of that movie. Just get his sunglasses, get his power. It's kind of lame, but Sony. So it's going to be a new character that we haven't been introduced to, because now we've established it can't be Walker because it is pre-Civil War.
Well, we don't know anything about Walker, right? I mean, it could be.
He seems a little young to be the power broker 5 years ago.
Well, he's been running all these special ops missions.
That's
you
true.
know, and a lot of the military dudes when they go Black Ops.
I think there's no chance of that. I think he's. Yeah, I think he's a vanilla, boring character. Like you can see that his story arc is obvious. It seems like. Unless they surprise him, it feels like his story arc is way too vanilla to impact the greater story in any sort of way. And I don't think he hangs around either.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up doing that way, because they're throwing a lot of those kind of gotcha reveals and surprises, and
well,
Chekhov's gun says we've either seen the power broker or the power broker really doesn't matter.
I think there's a good chance that.
What if Baron Zemo's the power broker and he's just pretending it's somebody else?
That would be genius.
Yeah. And that sounds like something Zemo would do. Maybe he's the power broker. And he murked that scientist pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Once he found out that there was no serum there. So maybe he's the power broker the whole time.
Did you think that was like an obvious thing where he was looking for the gun? Like he should have known that there would be a gun in that lab, or
did he just get lucky?
Did he get lucky? Like he just assumed that there probably is a gun in this lab somewhere.
I mean, they did show him like sliding his hand along the table, like looking for, hopefully something, instead of like going right to where it was at.
Well, I don't think he could have went right to where it was at, because he's been in prison, but he could have known. Like
I don't know.
That protocol was like keep a gun in the lab because you're in this.
That seems just like a strange stroke of luck that you're just gonna in this chemistry lab, I'm going to find a loaded handgun underneath the desk when the only guy that's in there is there's one guy working the lab.
Yeah, he definitely didn't check to see if it was even loaded.
Yeah, he just straight blasted.
But I guess
wouldn't that have been awkward?
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed weird. It seemed like it was like a plan. Like why doesn't he just pick up some forceps and stab him, or like break glass and shove it in his neck, or anything that is readily available? Why plant a gun there? Why have that? It isn't easy.
He needed it to blow up the gas pipe.
Yeah, it does set the stage for that. Mm-hmm. So, but he could have just,
picked up a gun.
Got a gun off somebody else.
He beat their ass up.
Or that Sharon killed outside.
Yeah, one of the 12 people that she murdered before. So, I don't know. That seems weird to me.
Yeah, and that was another thing that kind of... Go ahead.
But it makes sense, though, because I knew he was going to kill him. Like, the whole... Yeah. That's the whole reason why I couldn't get in on the Carter being the power broker, because there's no way she sends him in there, because he's got to kill him. Because, he wants to assume all that power. So he can go find the rest of the doses if there are already more left, and then he can form his next team. That gives you whatever the code name group is. Thunderbolts.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in for all of our opinions about Falcon and Winter Soldier that had nothing to do with the episode. We talked about it for 5 minutes and then rambled for another hour and 40. Thanks for tuning in. Come back and see us when we talk about shit not related to our title.
See you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.